r/AskReddit, what was ruined because too many people did it? Subscription everything. Especially software. I want to buy Office, AutoCAD one time, and use it for a decade. I don't want to buy it every year. A lovely counterexample is DaVinci Resolve. It's a serious video editing package used on proper films, and there's a free as in beer version, and a paid-for version. The free version limits you to 4K timelines, presumably because, if you're cutting higher resolutions than that you're making a proper film, and can afford it, and doesn't have some of the fancier effects, and neural engine processing that the paid-for one has, but other than that there are no limitations. You can use the free one commercially for as long as you like. A license for the paid-for one is about 300 quid, and also comes free with some of the hardware they produce. Once you've got your license, that's it, it'll work on all the versions up to the current one. There's nothing that explicitly says, they'll never ask you to pay to upgrade, but they haven't yet. I think their business model is getting the enthusiastic amateur market using it, and the few that go on to a career in filmmaking, will then just go out and buy themselves a remarkably inexpensive, £6,000 or so, digital cinema camera from BMD, and base their studio around all the control panels you can buy for it. Kind of like we'll give it away for free, because we know you're going to buy it, next week anyway. I haven't bought it yet, but it's on my list for early next year, because I want some of the cleanup and scaling tools that only work in studio. We had an amazing Halloween house in our small town, walking distance from my place. Every year the family who owned it would bring in Hollywood-level props, and lighting and 10 or so actors in full regalia to replicate a Pirates of the Caribbean scene all around the property. The Jack Sparrow was a dead ringer for Johnny Depp. Every kid would get a bag full of real candy, not the mini Halloween stuff. Unfortunately people started coming from other towns, and it turned into a mob scene to the point that cops had to direct traffic, and they shut it down. There's a house like this in southern New Jersey, but for Christmas and in the theme of Christmas Vacation. The local police do help direct traffic, and the owners of the home leaned into the popularity, taking donations for some charity, I can't remember which. I went a couple of years ago. When a house like that becomes overly popular, I think it could end up being a good thing, a shame it got shut down. Havasupai Falls in Oz. Went back in the early 2000s, and it was nice and little to no trash. Now all these fuckheads have trashed the park, and overcrowded it for a effing Instagram post, making wait times ungodly long. I hold great anger towards people that litter in cities, but I get enraged at dipshits that litter in parks, like WTF is wrong with you people? Clean up your shit, and for those who actually care please bring a waste bag, and we can start cleaning up after these fucksticks. Havasupai is ruined. I am not sure what will happen when they reopen in the end of May 2023. If I remember correctly, the 3-night camp permit costs $750 per person. Therefore, it's not just assholes, but rich assholes who ruined it. Visiting major historical sites. Most of them have been turned into badly maintained, super expensive tourist traps. Add in the trash, and damages tourists do, and yikes. Gettysburg is one of those places. Within the last decade or so, a lot of the museums have closed only to be replaced by ghost tour companies, wineries, and breweries. I'd guess at least a quarter, if not more, of the local economy comes from ghost tours and alcohol. It is not the same town it once was. Craft fairs. Now they're crowded with dozens of MLMs. I just want to find knitted slippers made by an old lady, who clearly has a drinking problem, not more Norwicks. One of the small towns I've lived in has an annual street fair. Used to be great as you'd have local artists and crafters, local food trucks and kids rides, and while it did bring in outside people for the day, it was predominantly locals, so you'd wander around and stop often to chat. Local politician decided to set up a booth one year, the next year the opponent did the same thing, and now one whole street of the fair is just filled with local politicians handing out flyers and trying to get people to vote for them. Really dragged down the tone of the fair. My cousin sells Mary Kay, and always sets up a booth at craft fairs. She puts up signs saying, "Support your small business." Huh? Those people see themselves as successful independent entrepreneurs, who've pulled themselves up by their own bootstraps, and are totally responsible for it all. They do, until it goes under, as did a certain kids' clothing one last week, and then it's all, us poor moms were fired with no notice. I'm sorry, I thought you were boss babes with your own business, how did you get fired? Luckily the craft fairs I do in my area are selective on that kinda stuff, and it's mostly crafters and a few local businesses. You used to be one of only a few people around bidding on storage lockers. It used to be a fun hobby I gave up on because it became too popular, and people are grossly overpaying for the lockers, which is oftentimes just paying to make a dump run for someone. In a similar vein, liquidation stuff. Now every pallet is picked over, costs 50% of MSRP, and is half broken. My friend owed $600, and I went to the auction and bought her belongings back for $25. My mom put all my stuff in a storage locker when I went abroad and then lost it for not paying for 8 months, and lying about it. I lost everything I owned since childhood except for 2 suitcases of clothes I had brought with me to study abroad, all my photos, journals I had kept religiously since I was 5 years old, mementos, stories, poems and paintings, thousands of dollars of rare books. Stuff I hope to digitize or give to my kids someday. Sweating face, I tried to find out what happened to my stuff, after I found out what happened, but whoever bought the unit threw everything away. Now when I see ads for those shows, I just feel sick to my stomach. Here's a link to a repost of something I wrote when I found out what happened. The original link to that post was deleted. Sorry, I thought everyone could see it. I posted it as a comment responding to this post. Had the same thing happen with my dad. I moved to another city temporarily for a seasonal job, and my dad said he'd pay for a storage locker for all my stuff while I was gone. He ended up not paying any of it and lying about it the whole time, and the unit was sold off. Finding out all the irreplaceable things you've accumulated over the years are just gone, with no way to get them back, is a horrible feeling. My condolences. My old next-door neighbor bought the contents of a storage unit, and after finding nothing of any real value almost threw everything out, before he found an old letter with an address. Paid a month's rent on the unit and left the stuff there, while he tried to see if he could find anything. He was able to find out that the original owner had died, but got into contact with her kids, and for the cost of the month's rental, he was able to return a lot of sentimental objects to them. Your old next-door neighbor is awesome for doing that. Refreshing and heartwarming to read this. Plenty of people out there that wouldn't take that time and go, FK this shit, and throw it all away even after the letter. Flying drones. Thanks to all the idiots doing dumb shit with them, it's not even worth getting into the hobby nowadays. You pretty much can't fly anywhere worth flying, need all sorts of permits, are constantly risking hefty fines, or even being investigated for terrorism. No thanks. My dad flies see airplanes and hates drone people lol. They don't follow any rules at all, and since drones are pretty much idiot-proof, pretty much anyone can get into the hobby. He's just worried that his hobby is going to require more rules, regulations, or perhaps even be banned due to too many stupid people doing stupid things, flying near airports, etc. Thrift shopping. Yup. 15 years ago the prices were so cheap, and you could always find a gem. Now they're always crowded, and everything is overpriced. You might find something good once every 2 to 3 visits if you're lucky. I blame the online sellers. Our local thrift stores have people who go in when they open, and drop a few $100s on stuff, and resell it on the FB Marketplace, Craigslist, eBay, etc. It's not just thrift stores either. They do it at all the local discount stores. Retail arbitrage is the new entrepreneur. The thrift stores in my area caught wind of that, so they started raising prices. Last time I was in I saw a pair of shoes, with holes through them listed at $20. It wasn't even originally an expensive brand. Yep, books went insane about 15 years ago. Once everyone had a smartphone, a barcode scanner, not even needed anymore, was easy. So resellers would literally sit there for 3 hours, and scan every book for the 10 to 20, that they could resell and make a profit. So the rest of us learned, and stopped buying books since we all knew that it was not worth it since everything on the shelf was just as cheap on Amazon. So the thrift stores raise their price, so they likely make more, but it still has the same problem for 99% of the customers. The rest of the stores have gotten that way. Anything that can be bought like that, and resold will be. Yeah, they caught on to resellers, and figured they'd just cut out the middleman, and make the profits themselves. So they started pricing things at reseller prices, which is kind of stupid because people go there looking for a bargain. Plus, people buying from resellers online are usually looking for that particular thing, and are willing to pay more for it because of that. My local Goodwill rarely puts anything good out, and when the tiers are rolled out, which occasionally has good stuff, Everyone comes attacking like wolves at dinner time. I've seen a few fights break out, once over a framed Beatles poster, second time it was a cassette player, third was a decoy book box. Good stuff rarely makes it to the shelves. What makes me crazy, in my area, is them pricing something like a record player at his original MSRP or going rate on eBay, when it's clearly broken, dirty, or very cosmetically worn. There's no sense of condition. I once saw them trying to sell an incomplete KitchenAid, missing attachments, that was as is, aka busted, very used, rusted, for almost what a new one at Target was going for at the time. All these things end up at the Goodwill outlets which, if nobody is there to buy, is its last stop before the dump. Absolutely waste. Why not price to sell? The overhead is mostly only payroll and rent, way better than traditional retail, because they get all this stuff for free. Also, it's junk. Sell it at junk prices. People complain about resellers, but in our age of mass-produced garbage at least, some people are out there essentially recycling someone else's trash. Used to love Airbnb years ago. Now it's pricier than a lot of decent hotels, and some of the house rules are nutty. My friend gave me a discount coupon for one. I compared it to a local hotel, and the hotel was cheaper with less rules. My hotel doesn't expect me to leave the room in pristine shape. I leave the towels in the tub, and pick up all garbage, but I'm not expected to vacuum and dust. For real. I stayed at an Airbnb once on a ski trip, and it was clearly the people's family home, so not like a random rental. We cleaned all the sheets, pillowcases, towels, wiped down countertops, ran the dishwasher, swept. Then we got a message from them, because they were upset we put a wooden spoon in the dishwasher. I guess in the 40-page manual, they left it said not to. They couldn't believe we hadn't read the entire thing cover to cover, and on top of that, there are always crazy cleaning fees. Like, why am I paying a $150 cleaning fee, on top of cleaning your house? The high cleaning fee is just a way to lower the price in searches, doesn't work anymore though. Lower rental price, higher cleaning fee. Like charging really high shipping on eBay. Also, Airbnb takes a portion of the price, but does not take a portion of the cleaning fee. It's become a way to make a few extra dollars that Airbnb doesn't tax. It's the same as online sellers on eBay, Etsy, etc. who charge exorbitant shipping fees. It's just a way to skim from the company. And like, more power to you, but it's such a headache to try to book somewhere, and while booking finding out the reasonable booking is ridiculously higher than expected. Also sorry, but if I am paying $100 plus for a cleaning fee, I will not be stripping the beds. I always do reasonable tidying anywhere I stay, but I am not spending the last day of my stay deep cleaning. Please stop replying to me about eBay. Apparently they've changed their practices since I last used it, likely due to the aforementioned reason, and as you can see it's already been addressed by other users ad nauseum. I leave notes under the covers. If you see this, the host didn't launder the sheets. I got a note like that once, appreciated the heads up, and left a bad review. Maybe that was Koreanish, but who really wants to sleep in the same sheets as a stranger? Airbnb was such a great idea until investors ruined it by buying properties just for the sake of short-term renting. Now entire neighborhoods have been gutted, and residential life has been ruined for so many people. I attempted to use Airbnb once, and I'll never try again. Booked a private entrance room in someone's house for almost a month, while I was gonna be on leave back in the States. The day before I'm set to check in, they contact me on the website saying that the room wasn't available because they turned it into their baby's nursery 7 months ago. Airbnb tried to fight me so hard to refund everything, but it was a completely false listing, so I got all my money back after a several-hour-long phone call. Ridiculous. The hotel room I ended up getting actually was cheaper, and it had a kitchen. Plus cleaning and no baby crying. I'll stick to hotels every time. Fuck Airbnb. Airbnb is so big it's killing the town I live in. I live in a tourist town up on top of a mountain, and up until the Airbnbs got big hotels, and a handful of dedicated rental cabins, were enough to accommodate for the tourists we get. Now half the houses in town are exclusively vacation rentals, people are being evicted to make room for more every day. And there's nobody left to work at any of our businesses, and the price of literally everything has risen far above the price it would be in any other town. Edit, I already answered where I'm talking about, so you can stop asking. Kinda depressing that there are so many places that people immediately think of when I say this though. Adblock. Now every website has a warning. It used to be a rare sight. Fun fact, you can block ad block warnings. Technically, they're ads. It's often just a right-click block element. To those saying no, it quite often works, and, while there are many places that are trying to prevent it from working, there are many where it still works. Never throw away a hammer just because. Sometimes you also need a drill. Anything that removes ads is a step in the right direction. Block Origin seems to block those, at least usually. Problem I've had is that websites have replaced outside ads with their own ads, pop-ups that demand you give them an email address or a subscription, when you just showed up to look up an API call you forgot the wording for. Cooking shows. It used to be a few talented chefs who had shows to teach. Now it's every damn celebrity who can or cannot cook making the same recipes as everyone else. Good eats. Last night, I watched S1E1 of this for the first time. What a different and informative tone compared to present-day shows. What's even worse is there are no real cooking shows anymore. It's stupid competition after stupid competition. YouTube. Most of the good modern cooking shows are on YouTube. Food Network has been trash for almost 2 decades now. The Appalachian Trail. People leaving their trash everywhere is really ruining the trail, and it's so fucking crowded now. People who litter on trails or campsites, or in general, annoy the fuck out of me. If you brought it in, you are fully capable of bringing it out. Do you actually like being out in nature, if you leave your trash in it? People are pigs. I work in a store and people leave garbage, and half-eaten food samples stuff in amongst the products. Adults blame kids, but there's no kid tall enough to reach the spots. I've found gross garbage. People could have a garbage can attached to their hip, and they'll still find a place on the ground to throw it. Usually, they're not too bright either. Same people who trash public bathrooms and scream in hotels at 2 in the morning. Litter bugs are the sum of the worst people. We take trash bags when we go hiking, and pick up whatever we see. One time we were doing it, a bunch of kids were around, and they started picking up trash and bringing it to us. It was pretty amazing. I sharpened some sticks up for them to stab the trash with, and they really seemed to like stabbing trash, so it made it fun for them. What really made us mad was, there was a trash can within sight that the litter bugs could have used. I filled up a trash bag with litter the last time I went to Rocky Mountain National Park, and Mother Nature repaid me with a big fat joint. I really hope someone offered you a joint for a good deed, and not you just grabbing a joint off the ground. Lamau. I don't think I'd ever smoke a mystery joint. It was still sealed in a hard plastic dispensary tube, very obviously never opened. Etsy. Started out as a legit community to buy and sell original handmade arts and crafts, all kinds of art made and sold by the artists. It was really cool. Then it started to turn a profit, and it became whatever the fuck it is now. Yeah, now it's hard not to find something that's also available on Alibaba or AliExpress. I've found a few local shops that I've purchased high-quality handmade goods from, but it takes a lot more effort than it used to. Driving to work early. I used to do it, but now, it's the same as morning rush hour. Driving in general, honestly. I love to drive when it's just me on the road, but it's getting to the point now that I hate driving in general because it seems like no matter where I go or what I do, there's always someone on the road who's trying to kill me. Constantly having to watch for and anticipate the dangerous actions of 50-plus idiots all clustered around me is my least favorite part of the day. Honestly, I would guess that the daily commute is probably the most dangerous thing most people do in their day-to-day lives. I'm a delivery driver, and I try not to let traffic and other drivers get to me. It's mostly water off a duck's back, otherwise, I wouldn't be able to get through the day. The one thing that does get to me though is people who drive like it's a competition. Weaving in and out of traffic, gunning it on green, tailgating people in the slow lane. It's nearly always guys in souped-up cars, or trucks with ridiculously large tires. I just don't get it. Writing children's books. Used to be an art form, then every celebrity has written one. More like every celebrity has paid a ghostwriter to write one for them. Festivals. I used to enjoy going to some local festivals. Now they're just overcrowded and expensive. Overcrowded, expensive and corporatized. The summit of Mount Everest is like a trash heap now. You forgot to mention the fact that it's basically a mass grave now too. Fun stuff indeed. Honestly, if I was on a hiking trail, and I kept seeing unburied corpses, it would kind of kill the fun. Unburied corpses? You mean colorful nylon road markers? Take a left at green boots. Yeah, if the activity we're doing involves using corpses as landmarks, count me out. Don't care if it's mountain climbing, or bicycling. Don't know if this is the actual direction, but yes, there was or is a corpse up. They're referred to as green boots that Turk people used as a landmark. There is a lot of bodies frozen in the snow, due to the difficulty in retrieving them. With that being said, Everest is far less dangerous for climbers than peaks of similar altitude, such as the infamous K2. Would it be possible to ride them down, like a sleigh the way Homer does it? There's so many things and places most people didn't know about prior to Instagram, and influencers visiting and taking photos there. Think Manhattanhenge in NYC used to be a cool phenomenon, only cared about or noticed by some, but now everyone and their mother comes out laning and blocking the streets for something that was once a hey look at the that's interesting kind of thing. Now it's just kind of goofy. I thought Manhattanhenge was cool the first time I saw a photo. Then I saw 500 more of the exact same photo. Really takes away from it being a neat phenomenon. Especially now, where everyone's photos have 50 other people in front of them, also holding up their phones. Streaming services. I miss the days of one single service, Netflix. Now every studio has its own service, and holds their stuff away from services like Netflix and Hulu. Direct consequence, too many subscriptions. At this point, it's more economical to buy stuff you want to watch. It's come full circle. Debating on whether or not to hit the high seas currently. Too many options. We're back to the old shitty cable model. Maybe a little weird, but I miss the early days of Netflix, when they'd ship you DVDs with a return shipping label. My habit was to watch the movie, then if it was actually good, the next night I'd watch the extras like the director and cast commentary. As far as I know, you can't stream that stuff. It was really great for classic stuff like the Kurosawa films. The DVD extras had a film scholar talking about the cinematography techniques invented while making those movies, etc. Geeky stuff, but that's what I'm into. Whatever the hot new tourism spot is, for example, my grandfather used to spend weekends in Nashville, when it was a more down-to-earth low-key town. Now it's one of the hottest travel destinations, and is just swamped everywhere. Any place that has a bumper sticker that says, "Keep X weird," I automatically assume they're just banking on the copy-paste tourist crap every other city does. The house flipping trend has certainly not helped home affordability. It's good to make a junk house habitable again. It's not good to turn a $220,000 house into a $350,000 house. Also, there are so many home flips that are basically lipstick on a pig. Yes, those new granite countertops are nice, but the plumbing is still 70 years old, and needs to be replaced, and now I need to rip out those countertops to get to it, or they use cheap-grade materials that don't last very long. I wish people would buy homes and fix them up to live in them, instead of trying to turn a profit, so they can buy someone else's place, who did the same thing. In my dorm room, there was a vending machine that, with just the perfect push of the button, would dispense 2 Sprites. For a few of us, it lasted around 6 months. Then they fixed the machine after one loose lip led to another. Open lips snatch sips. Oh yeah. We had 5-cent peanut M&Ms in our vending machine at work, until someone blabbed. YouTube people used to make content for fun. Now everything is optimized, and monetized and scripted to death. I wish you could downvote thumbnails. Whatever that formula that caught on is, it's terrible. The one where you look like a fucking confused idiot posing in front of some clickbait title with random words capitalized. Linus Tech Tips did a thing a while back, where they adopted all of the cringy YouTube trends for a week as a joke, and they had such a massive increase in views, subscribers, that they've kept doing it. Thanks for watching this video. Hit the bell next to subscribe, so you never miss a video. Like, comment, and subscribe, if you are new on the channel.